You are listening to the 312 Squadron podcast. We're back. My name is Nick Sperry.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Emmanuel.
You sure are. And we're happy to start off. We're happy to start off the new year. I know the statute of limitations on how you say Happy New Year at this point, but for you all, I do want to wish you all a Happy New Year. And we're back for episode 9 of the 312 Squadron podcast. Guys, there's a lot to talk about, but I do want to ask you all about your New Year's resolutions. Okay, so Manny, let's start with you. What is your New Year's resolution? And it's and being good at X-Wing, unfortunately, isn't on the table.
Does it have to be X related, or just can it be anything?
No, I'm just joking. Yeah, no, it could be anything. It doesn't need to be X.
All right.
At all.
I don't want to try to read at least a book every month. That's the goal. And hopefully be able to climb a V6 at the end of the year. If you're not into climbing, then that's gonna fly over your head. So yeah, there's that.
Is that like a battery? Sounds like a battery. You're gonna climb a battery?
No, just like it's how like the routes are rated.
Oh, cool. That sounds intense because 6 is higher than 1.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. You can do math extremely well.
I can. Everybody. I'm a math guy over here. Andrew,
Is that your New Year's? Is that your New Year? It's your New Year's resolution. To be better at math.
No, I'll never get good at math. What about you, Andrew?
My resolution was to remember people's names the first time I meet them, and to be better at doing that.
First time?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not. I forget names pretty quickly. Like if I'm meeting someone for the first time, if you go around and introduce them, like people introduce themselves, and it's been hard for me just to remember people's names. I can remember their faces, but I'm taking a concerted effort to like actually just try to remember people's names, because that's just something that I'm not good at. So, and that it's always embarrassing when like you've met someone, like spend a whole day with them, and then you meet them again and you can't remember their name.
Yeah, I can totally understand. Usually, I'm just too busy avoiding to be socially awkward, and that's why I usually forget their name.
Yeah, and I'm a pretty outgoing person as it is, but it's always been hard for me. I just don't have, I don't know, I just don't have that, and it's not, and I'm never offended if anyone forgets my name, but I don't want to like offend people because most people I meet are actually like really important to me, so that's why I want to like be better about remembering their names.
Yeah, that's a big one. I feel like without being like the cliche, like, oh, I'm gonna like go on a mental health journey, lose weight, make more money, like stuff like that. Like, I definitely want to I want to feel like I am making serious progress in my like career. I want to be able to see like maybe like start to see with more clarity like where my future could be the next few years. I'm really hard on myself though. Like I feel like I take a step back. I'm pretty happy with my life. Like I'm really hard on myself though. Like I feel like it's easy to get, and this actually ties into what we're going to talk about later, but I feel like it's easy to get caught up in like the what's happening now and in the moment. Like if something's frustrating or stressful, that is pretty fleeting. Like it's easy to get kind of stuck on maybe immediately your life doesn't feel so great, but ultimately very fortunate that I have a good supportive family. I have a good friend group. We have 312 Squadron, which has grown immensely. We have the podcast here, obviously, along with that. And so I think my New Year's resolution, TLDR, after this long rant, is to just be a little bit better about like maybe looking at the bigger picture and maybe not stressing out as much. Cheers to that.
There you go.
All right.
So we were at the Las Vegas Open this past weekend, well, at least from when we're doing this recording.
That's right.
Andrew, and by we, I mean Andrew and I went and we played on the Friday heat. We got in on Thursday. Played on Friday. Day one, heat one. And I probably have played the worst I've ever played at an X-Wing tournament, structured tournament, like ever. I'm fortunate enough to have a Worlds invite already, so I felt like I could take the pressure off and play something different. And I'm glad I did. Andrew, how'd you do?
I did well. I was actually very happy with how I played. It came down to the end for me. I did my last game on stream, and I was going up against our good friend Justin. We were both 2-2, so one of us was going to make it to day 2. We both had the win in, and unfortunately, that game got away from me. I felt like I had a pretty decent opening. My list had to do more damage on that initial engagement, and just didn't get there, and it was just hard to recover from there. But Justin played well, and I was super happy for him and stoked that he was able to do it. And then I got ninth place in the Red Die Redemption in the next day, playing for fun. So it was a good time all around.
Yeah, I was able to play a lot better in that. I went 3-1 in that, which felt good. Just kind of
Yeah, you were seventh in that, or
seventh. Yeah, seventh.
yeah.
Not
So
bad.
made
There
top
were a lot
eight.
of
That's
people out.
always good.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, so for those of you guys that didn't know, LVO was interesting. I'm not going to use this as an excuse, but it certainly was a bit of a distraction. Long story short, there was a technical issue. GSP was there to stream. They weren't able to set up their stream with their computer. I had brought mine to do some team league stuff because we're running our 3-1-2 team league, and I do a lot of admin stuff every day for that. And that's what I use to when we travel and stream X-Wing in person. It's an incredible computer, and we were able to hand it over and lend it to GSP so they could stream LVO. But day one, I was trying to help them get it set up and play at the same time, and I would have to leave my opponents sometimes and have the judges like wait around with them and give us extra time, and it was very stressful. And I certainly wouldn't want anybody to have to deal with that kind of distraction while playing competitive X-Wing. And I appreciate the judges and my opponents being so cool about it. They're super understanding, and I'm glad it worked out. Yeah, I'm still a part of the GSP fam, and I love those guys. And if in worst case, if I didn't have my laptop, they would have probably had to buy one from like Best Buy or something. But it would have just been such a hassle. So thankfully, we were able to get X-Wing covered at LVO, and 312 played a pretty big role in making that happen. And we got a lot of recognition and support, followers, subscribers to our Twitch channel. So just wanted to thank everybody for all the love. And yeah, that was kind of an unforeseen kind of circumstance that we had at this LVO.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'll gladly trade that for playing poorly.
But I mean, it was great that you were there at least, and you had the expertise and the equipment to jump in and help out. So
Yeah, I'm glad it all worked out. I have all the footage. Transfer the hard drive, and we'll get that over to GSP shortly. But yeah, it's good. It feels good to be able to contribute. That's what I'm here for. I'm glad I was able to help the guys get the stream set up. And speaking of LVO, we'll talk briefly about kind of what we saw, and ultimately Doug Howe with his first order winning list. I think it's safe to say there was a lot of Rear Admiral Chiranu and a lot of bombers and
yes,
Republic arcs and clone friends and smaller bases alongside them.
yeah,
The two
Empire
things
and Republic.
yeah,
Those were the two big factions for sure. Quite a bit of rebels, but not rebels with Han. I think we were seeing some other rebel lists start to come out.
yeah, we saw. I know Mitch Hurst made cut with looks like it was Luke, Ben,
Hmm.
Han, and Keo Venzi. But yeah, we saw Thomas Anonymous brought a ghost, Kanan Jarrus, which is pretty cool to make cut with that.
Yeah,
Velvet Buddha with double decimators and two bombers. It was Deathfire and Tomax. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4 in the top. Looks like 6 seeds. I'm looking at here, all with triple arc lists. Although one had Daniel Lim did have double arcs, not triple arcs, in his Republic list.
Close enough.
Yeah, right. Doug's list. I just want to Doug won LVO. Congrats to Doug. Doug is a good friend of mine and an incredible X-Wing player. I've had the pleasure of playing him at the highest stakes before. You learn a lot about the game and playing him. Just a good dude. And he won with Silencer Kylo. He brought us a 7-point Kylo with proton
yeah,
torpedoes, advanced optics, lone wolf, and instinctive aim.
that's
And then
such a powerful combo.
and then he brought 3 TIE FOs and an SF. So Lieutenant Gaelic with heavy laser cannon and proud tradition and an FO. Commander Malorus, of course, the hyper efficiency that she has with Magpulse warheads. LeHughes in the SF had Special Forces gunner, barrage rockets, and marksmanship. And then lastly, DT798, I like to call Borch because it's like Scorch, but with an inverse ability, you take a strange, roll an extra die with regen and deuterium power cells. That was the
Mhm.
list. Super simple. For
Yeah,
2.5, this is a pretty simple list, especially with upgrades. Really impressive.
yeah, but it's got a lot of offensive output, and if you can get into good positioning, it can be deadly.
Yeah, it's solid. But, yeah, solid list, and it's nice to see you've seen the evolved meta around Doug's list, and then you just see Doug's list, which is certainly not what we're used to seeing in top cuts, but he used all the pieces that are capable of doing a lot of damage. However, it's a very high risk list, so you can't just take that list and win with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of skill involved in keeping Kylo alive because that is the game. You lose Kylo at any point, probably the game.
It's pretty much over. Yeah.
It's pretty much over. Yeah. I love it though. Anything stand out to you that like besides, just like the usual, meta evolution, Andrew?
Yeah, well, I would say that it was that first one, only really seeing one Han in the list and seeing a lot of Republics. I think now we're start one. I think we're seeing a lot of Republics because it can counter Han, but I think we're seeing a lot of people starting to move away from Han and Rebels and onto something else. So whether we'll see a lot of Han come back at Worlds because maybe all of like the Han pilots also have their Worlds invites already. I mean, a lot of people at LVO did too. That did kind of surprise me seeing the shift in the meta to a more Republic and Empire dominated one than the Rebels one that we've seen for the past couple months.
Yeah, I think it's there's enough ships and enough firepower that it makes playing Han pretty difficult.
hmm
Double
Yeah, I
tap
think a
is
lot of
still double
people.
tap though. So.
It's still a grid list, and it like even here it's still made day two. It's still a good list, but I think a lot of people have played it so often that they figured it out. They figured out how to set up. I know every time that I go up against Han, I'm actually kind of happy to see it now because I designed my list to combat Han and Republic. That's something that I know what to expect. I know where Han's going to be, what those ships are doing.
Right, right. So speaking of Falcons, I guess Battle of Endor. We've gotten more information on Battle of Endor now.
Yeah.
We're not gonna go into the weeds of reading off every pilot ability, but I want to talk about the impressions that what we've seen has given us, and I definitely think this is going to make quite an appearance at Worlds, which is coming up very soon on March 20th at Adepticon in Schaumburg. It looks like Battle of Endor is going to be in terms of the two factions, Rebel Empire, probably the most balanced in terms of the power level you see on both sides.
Mhm.
Whereas Battle of Yavin gave us a lot more, I think, strong meta Imperial pieces with some good Rebel pieces.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, it looks like we're going to get a little bit of this, a little bit of that for both Rebels and Empire. There's a lot of really interesting, potentially powerful stuff in this pack. What do you guys think?
Here's hoping.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get an expansion where one side does not get all the powerful cards.
Yeah, it's unfortunately I think for First Order Resistance are asking for their pack. We get a lot for Rebel and Empire now. Well, maybe soon we'd get a scenario pack for the sequel factions as
Yeah.
well.
Give me a T-70 with an extra shield upgrade for some odd reason.
Yeah, well, there are extra shields and hull
Can't wait.
in the Battle of Endor pack, and lots of really like these standardized cards are packed in with self-serving abilities.
Yeah.
The first time we've ever seen a double red linked action. A Lando in the Falcon has a red coordinate to link red focus, but every time you do a red action, you can roll a die to try to remove the stress. So it could be to a white linked coordinate focus. You roll a hit or a crit for both of those rolls.
Yeah. Very high risk, high reward.
Yeah, and there's gonna be B wings, which will be nice. Maybe we get maybe a 3 or 4 point B wing, probably four.
You
Some
think
new A
the S
wings,
foils are gonna be part of it?
stabilized foils for the B wings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
probably not if I had
I
a bet.
probably don't think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I don't think so. A part of me is excited just for new content. I mean, it's just nice that we got information on this, let alone we got a release date towards the end of
Yeah.
February. I think it's like the third week of February is when we should expect to see it. That put us a little at ease, but at the same time, this is happening right about a month before, less than a month before Adepticon. So, we're going to be cramming in, trying to find a way, as everyone's kind of decided. I think this would be my worlds list if there weren't any new content coming out. Now this is coming out. So there's going to be a lot of rethinking, a lot of practicing, trying to cram in time with these new pieces to see maybe this is the list that I bring. to try to win it all with, to try to go as far as I can. Any other thoughts on Battle of Endor predictions? Do you guys think that maybe they'll be aggressively pricing these things? Like, could we see these TIE defenders be 7 or less, 6 or 7? I know some people would freak out. I would freak out.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I don't know because one thing that just on what they've released, these ships have way more abilities than the standard cards that we're used to seeing.
Yeah,
Like
they really
these
do.
these are more like the bomber pack. We kind of started to see that they had a lot more new stuff and a lot more new abilities that were packed into them than Battle of Yavin. These are like extra loaded even on top of that. Granted, I mean, even the I1 Sapphire 2 has got tons of text. Like the complications have gone up quite a bit. It's cool and it's exciting, but yeah, I don't know if these are going to be aggressively priced because these all have a lot going on.
Yeah.
It is a lot. The power creep seems very possible with
Yeah.
these. There's a lot of potential power creep. I have to be honest, this is a criticism I have. I'm sorry for those of you that don't like to hear it. Uh, Sometimes less is more. I like the Battle of Yavin TIE Fighters. I know that Manny, you hate Mauler and Backstabber, but it's pretty simple.
They're
Like Mauler
fine.
has
Right.
Predator and Afterburners, and Backstabber has like Crackshot, Disciplined, and Afterburners. And then there's like an insane amount of wombo comboing on these Battle of Endor
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah. I was because I was
Yeah.
gonna
Enough
say
already, guys. You don't need to keep going further and
Mahler.
further.
Yeah. Mahler and Backstabber. That's enough. That's
Yeah,
like people were flying those immediately.
I just
we
hate them because of the hull upgrade, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I agree. There's way too much on these cards. Also there's just there's just new abilities, new
Yeah.
effects. Well, like I'm not against it, but it definitely seems like a lot for a single expansion.
Yeah. I mean, now they've only released 4. These could just be the 4 pushed cards. These, could just be
the
everyone else
most
could be
complicated.
normal. Yeah. But these are the ones that AMG is like, "Hey, we really want these to be a part of the meta and we're excited about these." So, that's also possible that the other cards are going to be more in line with, what we saw with Battle of Yavin, where
Yeah.
there's a handful of standouts and a handful of, they're good, but they're not,
There's gonna be a
great.
whole lot of like this is a kind of a for those the patrons and stuff and everyone who's watching the stream right now. There's gonna be a lot of like I'm holding up my phone as a card, like rolling dice and then like having to pick up your card and like read every part of it to see like what interaction you can do. Like
Yeah.
that there's gonna be if you bring multiple of those ships for Battle of Endor in your list, there's gonna be a lot of hold on. Let's see. This one, it's a trap. If there's a friendly ship, more friendly ships than enemy ships. So this one is if there are one stress token you can again. This one was like can spend a eyeball results reroll. It's like
I was gonna say right. So like just looking at Sapphire 2, like while you're defending, you have to check if you're focused to roll an additional defense die. But while you attack, you have to count the number of friendly ships at range 0 to 1, and also of the defender, and then count the enemy ships, which is more. And then you can re-roll one of your blank results. Yeah, because then you have to like get the blank result. Then you also have reckless. So like there's tons of these little tiny decision
yeah.
points that you have in just one card.
And this is with us being experienced players. You're getting into the game. You're new. I don't envy being in that position. Playing with it or against it. With it, if it's
Mm.
casually, who cares? But it's still a lot of. I think it's very intimidating to have that much to have to focus on with one pilot when the average ship count is already 5 to 6 ships right now. That's a lot.
So
It'd be a
I
lot.
Yep.
also, yeah, it is a lot. I also wonder though if we are seeing more of these like really loaded standardized cards, if the next point change we might be moving away, like we might be moving towards a 4 ship meta coming up.
Yeah, I enjoyed the more 4 ship oriented meta when it was a thing.
Yeah,
Although, yeah, I
where
don't know. It's hard
we
to
might.
really dig too deep into
Ha-
this.
has 2.5 ever have like a 4 ship meta?
Yeah,
I feel like it's always been five.
Yes,
the last
yes,
iteration was 4. What you 4 was there was a lot more 4 ship lists.
right.
I'm
5
not.
was like
I'm not including squads that have a large base ship and happen to have like 4 ships in them. I don't count that as the same as just
Yeah,
like
but there
four
were like
small size ships.
AC lists with 4 ships, like,
There was
that
definitely yeah, there were definitely 4 ship lists. Empire was really the only faction that Empire and Scum were the only or the, Empire and Separatist, I mean, were the only factions that tried to do, like, swarm stuff.
well,
But
Separatists had, like, Django, Dirge, Grievous,
yeah,
something, and
last meta was all about the proton torpedoes. So you had 4 ship rebels, but everybody had proton torpedoes. Um,
oh,
l
Protorps. Oh, fun.
yeah,
Hmm.
that was a big one. Um, what were the Republic was the
They had a lot
also
of
I think
ships.
yeah,
They had 5 or 6.
though that was another 5 6 ship faction in the
Yeah.
last meta.
Yeah. Yeah, with Born for this and stuff was at the last Worlds, which is before the points changed.
Yeah,
There was
but
still
like
Born for this arcs.
but you because I remember like a lot of the smaller ships got pretty nerfed. I was trying to think of what Duncan Howard I think was only doing 4 ship rebels or 4 ship Republic with that.
Well, he brought he brought a full list.
FO
Yeah,
was
to
in the last meta was 4 ship.
packs. Duncan brought a 4-ship list to packs and
Right.
won. Yeah. Um,
But yeah, but then the last meta too, FO was another 4 ship faction.
there was TLDR, there were more 4 ships in the last iteration of the meta than kind of what we have now,
Hmm.
whether it had a large base or not. But still, if it did have a large base,
No,
still 4-ship list.
I take that back. FO was 5 ship. It was 5 ship because they all took the shield upgrade,
Yeah, for the most
and it
part.
was all the FOs. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, neither here nor there. I do think just making bold predictions, they'll be priced aggressively to sell, to be played, because that's, they want to get those on the table and those packs sold for worlds and beyond. So definitely be sure to, for those, just a PSA, those of you at home, definitely order from your friendly local game store, put a
Yes.
pre-order in. They'll be happy to do it. Keep our game stores alive that host our events, that host our casual play. They are the best. So most of you I know are doing that, which is just if you needed a reminder, just,
Yeah.
just a reminder. Yeah. Okay. Well, it leads us to the main topic here. So I was thinking, Joe, I was joking with Justin Williamson, who made you had played on stream, Andrew, you had mentioned earlier, and who he made cut at LVO, and him and I were practicing a lot. Like in between eats, like on our day off, we played a couple practice games, try to get him prepped for his top cut game. And just was thinking about like, okay, like, again, like I said earlier, I beat myself up sometimes, and I was thinking about going, going 0-3 and dropping and seeing other people who maybe finish a day going 0-5 or last place at at a side event or whatever, and how we cope with being in a competitive environment where we're playing this game. It goes beyond X Wing, but we'll just focus obviously on X Wing as the example. Being in a competitive environment and losing, and like not just losing a game, but like losing several games, having a bad day, being finishing near last place or in last place, dropping because you're just not doing well. Like how we cope with that. I'm super competitive, and
Yeah.
it's
Same.
it's one of those things where like, the whole like it's too easy to just be like, oh, it is what it is. Like, yeah, obviously it's not that big of a deal. But how do you guys cope with having like a bad game or having a bad day where you don't play well, you make mistakes, things just don't fall your way with like your dice variance, whatever.
I'll let you go first, Andrew.
Oh, okay. So I have some pretty good experience with this. I've had a lot of variance in X-wing, and it's pretty crazy when you are when you're doing well, and you feel like you should be doing well, and you're practicing, and you've got a lot of games in under your belt, because it's different when if you go in and you have been playing for a while, or you're a bit rusty, and then or you're trying a new list and you go into a tournament and you don't do as well. But like when you actually are playing all the time, you're competing and you want to win on that high level, and you feel like you're prepared, and you feel that you're prepared to win like these tournaments, and then you go and you have a bad time. Last time I did this was at the Miniature Mart store open, and I lost every single game that I played, always against good opponents, but losing every game really humbles you quite a bit. I would say it feels bad in the moment. Um, Me personally, I X-Wing is a game that has, high variance, and I've said it again, and I still believe it. It's a game that, to me, one mistake can compound and compound and compound, or one bad turn can just lead into a series of bad decisions. And you can have these games where, you feel like you've not only fallen off a ladder, but you're just hitting every rung on the way down for, 100 and or for
When
75 minutes.
when it rains, it
Um,
pours.
yeah. Uh, it's okay, like, to feel like salty or bad in that moment. I never want to let my opponent think that it's anything that they did, because they're here to compete too. And, you know, it's a game where someone's going to lose that game or draw, which then everyone's mad. Um, but one of you has to walk away with that win. And so, as long as it was played well, that's all you can hope for. But in that moment, I think you could absolutely have the right to just, like, you know, be salty. I have to remind myself, and sometimes I text Zoe, my girlfriend, that, hey, just so you know, I'm really mad about my plastic spaceships. Just to, like, or I tell her I'm doing my pouty dance, just to make it sound ridiculous on the outside, and to bring it to a point where you realize, hey, this is a game. I'm supposed to be having fun. I'm doing this because I actually enjoy it, and it gets you out of that headspace a little bit. But I think it's okay in the moment to feel those feels. For me, I try to use it and say, okay, if I lose, what can I take away from this? Is there anything I can learn for my next game? And really, just as I've played more, I've learned just take it one game at a time. And then two, when I come from a really bad day where I've lost all my games, uh, let that fuel me. I kind of let that fire me up for the next time, that the next tournament. And after I lost every game in St. Louis. Came back, and for the next tournament we did at the Windy City Trials, I got second place. So, and had a great day. And that's just kind of where you got to be at. So if you can learn from it, as long as you're learning from it, then it's not a waste. It's not a bad game. And because of the variance next swing, you're just gonna some days it's just not gonna go your way. And even if you're prepared, have some bad days in this hyper competitive sport. But just don't let it get to you too much.
What about you, Manny?
Me, I'm gonna share on my story from last year's Gen Con. Um, so I got extremely frustrated my second game where I was going up against triple arcs, and I kept getting tons of crits on on Wolf that was soaked up towards Oddball, and I was so frustrated in that game that at the end of that game I dropped, and I immediately went to our hotel's gym and just released all my pent up frustrations there. I think I say it's healthy to have an outlet. Uh, to me, it is to lift heavy stuff and to put them back down. And as long as I'm not taking out, at least I'm not taking it out on my opponent, I feel it is completely valid. And at the end of the day, it is a children's tabletop game, so it's not worth something to be too mad over.
Yeah, just taking that step back and just realizing, hey, I'm playing a game right now
Yep.
with my fabulous friends.
I don't know if you've ever seen that one YouTube clip of the Russian hockey player, where he's just like, "Why you have to be mad? It's only game. Why you have to be mad?" It's a very funny clip. But yeah, that's immediately what I just think when I get frustrated in this game. Why do you
Yeah.
have to be mad?
Only game. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, you got to know that every person who for these competitive tournaments, especially at Worlds, and especially Worlds is your first, tournament. Everyone there plays on an extremely high caliber. Everybody there has been grinding all year at their store championships too. You're going to meet people from all over the world, and it's cool that we've all come together because we love this game so much. And every opponent that you're sitting across the table from you has probably done just as much prep as you have, and even if they haven't, they're still probably still very good. And there's nothing wrong against about playing this game, and even if it's not going your way, you're just getting better every time.
Yeah, I had a couple people at LVO like walk up to me and be like, "Dude, what happened?"
Oh yeah.
How I did. And there's kind of an expectation I think built around like by me for myself, and I think just because people know have seen me at tournaments and seen how I've placed recently at some
Yeah.
bigger events and that I'm going to do well and I expect myself to do well. And it's funny to think about like, oh, like what the heck happened? Like that's a lot of pressure though to put on yourself. Like it's
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say no. I can absolutely empathize with that. That if you're at what everyone else expects to be a quality, a tier quality of player, you're not allowed to have a bad day.
yeah.
um, and also, I mean, that's funny just because everybody else at LVO is also like at that tier too. Like, there's still a lot of heavy hitters at LVO, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen to somebody eventually. And then also too, when I mean, you were going in with an off meta list. Everyone there was flying pretty much on meta lists.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I know.
like I going in to have fun versus everybody you're playing is there to win it. Like that's a totally different mentality too. So I don't even think you can compare yourself at the same level.
There was a moment, this is so not me, but this is how I coped with this is, playing against Ray and, like, 2 T-70s and Zori, and I had Vader at range 3 of Ray, uh, barely. I didn't think Ray had a shot, but that, like, just had, like, maybe an eighth of an inch of, like, Vader space, just a little bit of it, and rolled, like, 4 hits, and Vader rolled 4 blanks, and I'm like, "Okay, so I've already taken 4 damage," and then a single modded shot with HLC at range 3, again, Vader's rolling 4 dice, defense, kills Vader, and this was, like, 10 minutes into the game, and I was like, "Okay," and then so I was like, "Oh, this is nice, that's good," and I, like, basically, like, played through the rest of the game being like, "All right, this guy's gonna take a gonna bake here," and then I'd, like, something horrible would happen, like, "Oh, that's not good, okay." Like, just basically, like, just going through the motions. Like, I already knew
Yeah,
the game was over, and
yeah,
instead of me getting, like, dwelling on just it just being such a horrible start and just a game I knew I had no chance of winning, I just, like, I went through the motions until it was apparent that, like, I couldn't damage anything. I tried so hard. And so it's like, "All right, I'm just gonna concede. Good game. I appreciate the game. Thanks so much." And just, like, packed up my stuff, and he felt really bad because it was such a horrible game for me. And I was just like, "You know what, man? I could be mad at just, like, it just not being my day, but I'm not gonna do that. I've just
yeah,
decided that, like, after the first game and now this game, I'm gonna play one more game, and if I lose that one as well, which I lost by like 2 points, I just, it's fine. It's just,
yeah.
gonna be that way. And, it sucks though because I, I tell myself that like this is, you're not supposed to be having these games. And, but what I will say this though, something that I think is important, the context is important, is that I looked at my 3 games and like I made like a couple of mistakes, a couple of boo-boos. But I set up in position, my turn 0, the way I would start engages, like, everything I did, I look back, I'm like, "That's probably the way I should have done it anyways."
Yeah.
It just didn't work out. I just
As
lost,
Yeah,
and that's fine.
as much as this is a skill game, and as much as we also don't want to blame the dice, I try not to. I don't want that to be my first move. Sometimes it can come down to dice. You can just get really unlucky. We've all had experiences where that like 3 hull, 3 agility ship lives forever and is indestructible. And we've all had the games where your most important piece just like it vanishes off the board in the first engagement. We've seen it from our side and we've also watched it from my opponent. Like I've felt bad before when I know that I'm winning a game just purely because my opponent is just incredibly unlucky.
Yeah, it sucks, so you have to, like, apologize to our opponent.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, you want to, but at the same time, like, yeah, like I'm just, I know that they're also in their own private hell in that moment because I've
Yeah,
been there too, and I know, I just want to like that's kind of the fun thing that also can bring players together at X Wing too, where you can, reach across the table and say, hey, man, that was bad, like that was rough. I've been there. I know. I'm so
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I had a moment in the side event, where We were playing Scramble, and I was playing Vader Rack Ramacherno with Vader crew, right?
Yeah.
And he had Kylo on one hole, and he one straighted with Kylo and scrambled, and then I just Vadered him and killed him, and I was like, "That's just so unfair." Like, I just
Yeah.
it was a side event, and I was just like, it was fine. They were like pissed, but it's just like it just feels bad to
Yeah.
have those circumstances happen in a game where you're just like, game effect, you're dead.
Yep.
Man, but yeah, it's also just like coping with, like you said, like coping. There's losing, and then also beating somebody in ways that feel bad as well. Like where just like you feel like the game is just being played by one person, the other person's more of a victim of circumstance or just of skill level or sometimes just variance, and you
Look,
just can't help but apologize
yeah,
for
you're
it.
not going to get away
Stop,
from
stop.
that.
He's already dead.
You're
Yeah.
not going to get away from that in X-Wing, because it's like I know that probably some of our listeners have had this experience where they have a new player or they're showing the game to their best friend, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna play like these TIE fighters, you have like all these like really cool powerful ships, and then just accidentally, even though you're playing like really loose to show them the game, accidentally just curb stomping them. And you're like,
Yeah,
I promise this is a fun game and it's not like this. you know
You
yeah,
always get like the
yeah.
best rolls against the players that you don't want to cream. It's like
yeah.
I'm just trying to show him. I'm just trying to show him how to play the game. Why am I rolling all crits?
When I play Frankie, I accidentally like one shot his ships, and it's ridiculous. It's
They-
but he keeps
hey,
coming back, so I must not be that mean of a person otherwise.
No,
X-Wing does that
he
sometimes.
just might be a masochist. That's why.
No, no, no. I mean, he's done so much better in tournaments. I honestly think that it's just he's competitive too, and just it lights a fire, in him, and
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. I mean,
But yeah, ultimately, it's important to apply yourself, set high expectations, but don't behold yourself to them in a sense where it becomes unhealthy that you are end up getting stressed out because
yeah,
this game you're
it's a
playing with somebody else. I know it's adversarial in nature. It's a dogfighting game. But if it's so competitive, it's kind of creating an environment where people are on edge and they're getting frustrated, physically frustrated. There's bad body language. I think it's important to take a step back and either reset or take a quick break. But yeah, like Manny said, hitting the gym. Sometimes in the middle of an event, you're not going to drop and go to the gym at a hotel nearby. So if you can't do that, which is usually the case, it's I think it's important to just maybe take a step back and just take a deep breath. And another really important thing that saves a lot of tilt is make sure you drink a lot of water and you eat something.
yeah.
Because
You know what?
man,
Very
being
good.
angry playing X Wing is really bad for you and
Yes.
Yep.
your opponent.
Also,
Don't do
you should be bringing food anyway to these events, and be snacking. One thing that we looked up, like, I think that this is for chess. I think it definitely applies to X-wing. Um, chess, you are burning 182 or 186 calories per hour when you're playing chess. I believe that's probably the same for X-wing. I think it takes a lot of the same mental like calculations to do chess and X-wing. You're doing complex spatial reasoning on the fly and memorizing everything about game states and everything like that too. And like, because I've had games where if you go home you wonder like, why am I sweating like playing a
yeah,
plastic spaceship game, or why am I like so exhausted? And it's because no, you are actually using a ton of energy. So yeah, hydrate and depth bringing snacks is so vital to how you are going to perform in that game too.
definitely, absolutely. I think this is a really good topic of conversation because it's something maybe a lot of people don't actually down and think about. Like, how was I for myself today? How was I for my opponent? I try to be the best possible opponent that I can be.
Yeah, same.
It's important to strive to be the kind of opponent where you're even if you beat the crap out of somebody in a game of X-wing, they're like that person was really nice. They were really cool. And we had a fun game. Um, that's not always going to be fun, and ultimately, you can only control what you can control. Just try to play your best, try to win. There's conflict of interest in some ways there in terms of how we feel, but yeah, being ambassador for the game and representing it well, and versus like, man, like that gaming community is kind of toxic, but man, the X-Wing community, everyone's so nice. People like even like competitively, like I'm having fun, I'm learning. Like that's what we always talk about how much we love the X-Wing community. It's because of that
Yeah.
kind of attitude.
I
So yeah.
yeah. No, this community is so great. I've been so fortunate to meet so many cool people from all over the country and all over the world playing this game, which I think about that all the time, how I would have not met any of these people if I didn't decide to pick up this game. And that's so cool.
Anything else on this topic, Manny? Anything else to chime in on?
Um, nope, nope. I'm good. The community's great. Yeah, just a solid group in general.
I will also leave on this. If your opponent is tilting and you can visibly see that they are, this is my personal rule. I if I win a game, I will let the my opponent determine whether they want to shake my hand or not after, or if they want to interact with me after. I'll wish them a good game, but I'm not going to force them to talk about it or to interact with me if they're feeling salty, unless they want to.
Yeah, be the listener.
Yeah. If you win a
You're the
game,
therapist if
yeah.
they want you to be. Don't be the guy, never be the person that it's like, yeah, when you did this, I was confused why you did that. You should have done this. Nope.
Yeah.
You are the worst person if you decide that that is the course of action you should take.
Yeah,
Don't contribute.
have some self awareness.
If exactly, but if they ask like, "What do you think you would have done differently?" Have a nice, honest conversation, and avoid any sort of language that could make them feel like they weren't thinking or being
Right.
smart, or
Right.
ultimately, like, there's no place for that. So, but
Yep.
yeah, I mean, there's every player's different, but that's a good point. Be there for them,
Mhm.
and honestly, I've Adam, shout out to Adam, who Andrew and I both played in a side event, and actually maybe the main event at one point. I think I played
Yeah.
Adam at
I
the side event.
we both played him in the main event and the side event too.
Um, he bought me a beer after the game we had, and he was using the list that I brought to Gen Con. Although he had the other Tomax, but
Yeah.
and like he was just super cool, and not
What an
saying that you should
awesome
buy
guy.
your opponent a beer if they beat you, but just a really nice guy, and he's a fan of ours, and it was really nice to meet him and
Yeah.
play games with him.
And this was his first tournament too. And it played really well for it as well. And so I'm really looking forward to meeting him again too.
Yeah, absolutely. The next big event we talk about usually this segmented part of the podcast. We talk about upcoming events. Well, we've kind of blown through everything. Store Champ season's over. We're
Yeah.
about to hit that deadline in about a week, and we're looking ahead to Worlds. So that's a big one. Registration is already opened, and if you're listening to this now and you haven't registered for any of the X-Wing events, it could be too late, as the Last Chance qualifier currently, I believe, is waitlisted, and all the side events currently are sold out unless you have
No,
a Worlds invite.
there's a couple side events that are open.
That's good.
Um, the story driven ones are.
Okay, but not like the
Um,
prep ones or
right, yeah,
other side events.
the prep ones, the prep ones, yeah, are sold out, and the last chance so far, it looks like they're both waitlisted.
Definitely make sure you book your accommodations and waitlist if you haven't already. By the time this episode comes out, I hope you all have. If you have an invite, we have been told by AMG that there won't really be there shouldn't be anything selling out in terms of the main event having a world's invite. But I would still register as soon as you can.
Oh, honestly, I'm probably registering after we finish recording the podcast tonight.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, I'm excited for Worlds. The best part about Worlds is I get to see all the people that I host for our leagues that I talk to regularly on Discord, who live all over the place, and we all
Yes.
come together, including Greg from Nickel City X Wing, all the folks that I get to see or talk to kind of in flashes, all in the same place. We all get to hang out. It's so cool, and I'm really really excited to be able to spend a few days rolling dice with people from all over the world and friends that I've made the last few years from all over the world. Always the best part of it. Bonding through X-Wing.
It honestly is.
Is there anything else before we kind of close out? we start to close out this episode. Anything you got, Andrew or Manny?
Nothing good.
I was gonna say I hope to see everybody at Worlds. Can't wait. Come say hi if you see us.
Yes, yeah, please do. I'll have some swag for folks. I just got a ton of stuff in the mail, including new stickers and everything. Can't wait to show it off.
I'm
But
gonna be 3D printing stuff for my opponents.
oh yeah, that 3D printer is going to be working overtime for sure. So thank you everyone for listening to this episode. We are so excited to be back. Happy New Year. Of course, Larry David would argue that the statute of limitations has expired for Happy New Year, but I'm going to say it anyways, Larry. I'm sorry. You can I'd like to also thank Strata Strike for sponsoring us and continuing their support for us. You can use coupon code 312 Squadron. That's a capital S, all one word, and then lowercase QUADRON for 15% off your purchase of anything on their Etsy store. And I want to thank our 312 patrons. Our Patreon has launched with massive success. I want to thank Adam, Brendan, Michael, Justin, Mark, John, Joshua, Daniel, Alex, Steven, Matt, Peter, Andrew, and Scott for supporting us on our Patreon. Without you all, we wouldn't be able to continue doing what we are doing and setting our sights even more high in 2024. Make sure you follow us on Twitch to catch us live when we're streaming games, including X-Wing in person, our Team League games, and everything beyond. We, of course, are streaming, posting our podcast on all major platforms. Check us out on Facebook and like our page. Join our Discord. Check us out on YouTube. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. We appreciate you all very much. Thank you all. My name is Nick Sperry.
And I'm Andrew.
And I'm Manny.
And we hope you have a great February, and we'll see some of you at Worlds.
Happy 2024.
Yeah.